Church, it's good to be with you. Our daily hope today is from Isaiah chapter 28, the great prophet himself. To start, a word of the day. Narcoticize. Narcoticize, a four-syllable word you will find nowhere in Isaiah, meaning to drug or to render drugged. You may ask yourself, Joseph, you partially homeschooled logophile, why would we care about this word, particularly if it's not in the text? Well, allow me to demonstrate. Chapter 28, verse 1. Woe to that wreath, the pride of Ephraim's drunkards. Later in that verse, to that city, the pride of those laid low by wine. Skip ahead to verse 7. The focus is shifted from the general populace. Now it is the religious leaders, the priests and the prophets, to whom the prophet is speaking and rebuking. And these also stagger from wine and reel from beer. Priests and prophets stagger from beer and are befuddled with wine. They reel from beer, they stagger when seeing visions. They stumble when rendering decisions. All the tables are covered with vomit, and there is not one spot without filth. Exactly what you were expecting when you tuned into Daily Hope today, right? Don't worry, we don't land here ultimately, but it is worth us just stopping and pausing. Humanity, we have had this long history of trying to escape the humdrum, the pain, the anxieties of life with stuff like good wine, beer, you name it. Pick your poison. The options in our culture abound. We've seen, opioid epidemic is cruising. Drugs have never been more readily accessible or cheap. I'm sure this issue of substance abuse and even substance addiction has touched somebody's life that you know. It's just really widespread. So it is worth us just stopping and taking a simple warning here and asking, hey, how's your relationship to that? But the reason why I bring up, let's move on. The reason why I bring up that word narcoticize is because, especially here in this text, it's going deeper than just this teetotaling behavior, right? This puritanical worrying about, don't drink too much. No. See, the prophet is identified something key, which is that the hearts of the people, the foundation of their life, the shape of their life, has ceased to be defined by their pursuit of, their relationship to, their obedience to the love and law of Yahweh, and it's now being shaped and defined by something else, right? It's Party City. And that dishonors God and it displeases him. Anything that sneaks into our hearts and displaces God is something that causes his heart grief. So the question that's kind of underneath this text is this: what is the foundation of your life? Because so often when we look at these outward behaviors like drinking, the issue isn't the issue, as they always say. There's something deeper there. There's a heart level despair, or there's a preoccupation with self and the pursuit of a self-indulgent lifestyle. That's the narcoticized word there. Their culture had been one that they were constantly inundated by this particular substance. Today, the options for us to live a narcoticized lifestyle abound. Just think about how much time on average the American household spends watching Netflix or on that incredible space phone that I'm recording this Devo on, the internet, social media, not to mention, substances. All of these things, what do? They consume our attention. They often steal our hearts. They mute our ability for true relationship, true intimacy, and they disconnect and isolate us from one another. So that's the thing that's breaking God's heart in this passage too. And that issue of foundation. See, God says, hey, I'm going to judge my people. I'm going to judge you. But as so often is the case in Isaiah, he says, I'm going to render judgment, but there is hope. In verse 16, it says, this is what the sovereign Lord says. See, I lay a stone in Zion, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone for a sure foundation. The one who relies on it will never be stricken with panic. I will make justice the measuring line and righteousness the plumb line. I'm sure if you have grown up in the church, you have heard the song Cornerstone, right? Because in the New Testament, this is a theme that Paul picks up on. It's quoting Isaiah. He talks about it in Romans, in I think First Timothy or First Peter, maybe Galatians. But this concept that Christ is in fact the cornerstone. Is Jesus the cornerstone, the bedrock that you return to each day, that you build your life upon? It's a question that is worth us asking ourselves on a regular basis, because the sad fact of the matter is that, man, our attention and our loves, our affections, our allegiance, and our worship, man, they get pulled all over. So the life of faith it's not about living perfection. It's not about performing. So often it is just about returning. It's about returning to the cross, returning to the quiet of the morning, to seek God, to listen for his voice, to hear what he has to say to you about your true identity, and also about the work that he's inviting you to in the world. So church, take hope. Let's maybe take stock too about our lifestyles and ask one another this question. Hey, what are you building your life on? I hope that you have a blessed week, my friends. See you soon.